Miss Martin muses and some unbridled rage. I'm mad. I am mad. I am mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. So, who better to take it out on than House of the Dragon? I don't think their feelings are going to be hurt, and I am going to just do it. Because, yes, we have had some problems, Precious. Yes, we have with this season. I mean, it is Game of Thrones season 8 level bad. A lot of people don't know it yet, though, and I don't know why. It's like well, I don't want to call out anybody, so I won't, but the signs are all there. They were a little bit there in season 1, but it's like, oh, yeah, but surely they're not going to do this. Oh, yes, they did, Precious. Oh, hell yes, they did. And it's going to be worse. Now, to be fair, 7 and 8 has not aired, but we have seen the previews. We have seen what's going to happen, and I'm still not sure about episode 8 because there is a very strong rumor about it, episode 8, but I have no idea how they're even going to try it. I mean, really, I just don't know. But before we get into it, look who is here in the chat. It is Adega Outlaw. Hello, Adega Outlaw. Thank you for being here. We have Maldi. Good day, Miss Martin 199. Well, good day to you, too. I'm assuming that means that you, sir, or you, ma'am, sorry, I don't want to misgender you, is an Australian. So thank you for being here. Always great to see people from down under and from the future. So I hope the future is okay, because if the present's pretty bad over here. My goodness gracious, yes, it is. Guess what I am? What am I? I am at 1,120 subs. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here for that, for subbing to me. And if you haven't subbed already, those of you listening on the replay, please go ahead and do so because, now, in the year 1,120, I don't know if anything exciting happened. Let's look it up. Stay signed out. Yes, I do. Will it tell me the year? It will not. What's wrong with these people? Maybe I'll get to it in a bit. But if there's anything really exciting that happened in 1,120, please let me know, and I will get to it. It's not as much fun as 1066, though, because, oh my gosh, 1066 was amazing. Because when I hit that is like a big, huge battle that I love, the Battle of Hastings. Hello, everyone's saying hello and hail. Yeah, looks like nothing too excited. Oh, there was a council, the Council of Nabius, King Baldwin II, and Patriarch. All right. So anyways, we did have some cool stuff happen in 1120. There were some councils. We had in Europe, there was a Battle of Cutlanda. In England, King Henry I gives a portion of the Stoneleigh estate to his chamberlain. The White Ship is sunk off of the English Channel. This is germane to House of the Dragon, because guess what? Some of the things that were going on in that battle were mirrored in what we have happened in House of the Dragon, because Henry I had only one male heir, and the White Ship sank in 1,120, killing him and some of his natural children, leaving only Matilda. Only Matilda as the heir, and he made people swear that she would be the heir. Well, guess what happened? A big old civil war. So, yes, that is what also happened 1,120. But let's just get into this. Dude from the U.S. Oh, my fault. Well, you said good day. I'm used to Australians doing that. And my cat is still sabotaging me. Let's continue. Oh, speaking of which, well, thank you for being here. I appreciate everyone being here from the America or from elsewhere. So yes, please. I do have a stream about the anarchy, upon which House of the Dragon, the historical are based. It's called the House of the Plantagenet on my live stream. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. Everyone's saying hello to each other. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump into this because House of the Dragon Season 2 sucks. Yes, it does. And I'm seeing a lot of cope, and I am seeing a lot of interesting gymnastics going on. And it just amazes me because all of the signs that we have are there that we are dealing with a situation as bad, if not worse, than Game of Thrones. And because what they're setting up is a mitigated disaster. I want to first address one of the misconceptions that still seems to come up for some reason, which is that George R. Martin is writing this, he is approving this, and this is the real version of what happened in House of the Dragon. That is not true. That was part of a marketing campaign. Um, and it kind of is very strange that any author, think about it, why would any author say that a TV version of the story is the definitive adaptation, especially since it contradicts things that will happen in his own books? Things like dates, things like characters, things like people. Sometimes people say, well, House of the Dragon is written with unreliable narrators. Well, guess what? Yes, they are unreliable in many different cases, and they always lay out all of the theories about what happened when things are uncertain, but things about dates, things about battles, things about how many sons a king had, and how old they were, and which battles they participated in, which battles Damon participated in, the existence of the coolest character ever named Nettles. That's not unreliable narration. That is having issues. No worries. I am not here to shield channels or anything, just watching. Oh, I'm not worried at all about that. No. Well, if you want to shield channel, go ahead. It's a free country as long as we are all respectful and cool. So, why am I so mad? Well, if you'll notice, well, first of all, I just said it. Nettles. I have a reason why they are writing out Nettles and giving her role to Rhaena, because Nettles is perhaps the most awesome, the most cool character in the entire thing. She is a moral character, and it has a lot to do with what occurs with Damon. Spoiler alert. There. Stig is here. Hello, popping by to say hello. Popping by to say hello there before going to bed. Yes, thank you for doing so. I appreciate your views and all of that, and I know that you share a lot of how I'm feeling about House of the Dragon and how it is going to hell and a handbasket. Or maybe it was already there. I mean, all they had to do was just adapt it. And I have reasons why. And I say adapt it, I mean, adapt some of the beats of the story. Oh, dear. I mean, for starters, are they supposed to be faithful to Game of Thrones? Well, they're not. Are they supposed to be faithful to A Song of Ice and Fire? It's not. Why are they doing what they're doing? All right, well, let's look at episode 1. We're going to talk about episode 1, where this is where things go wrong. I have this as a thread on Twitter. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, please go ahead and do so. Okay, I finally sorted out things with the feline in my life. I copy and pasted it because Twitter or X wants to dox me. I was like, oh, okay, it's no problem here. I'm like, oh my gosh, they have my, they just pop it up so they can go straight to Hades. So here's how House of the Dragon season 2 should have gone if they hit the beats and didn't make ... interesting changes. Okay. Interesting changes. Episode 1. As is, except Damon takes Harrenhal so he could send the Raven to the Black Council about a son for a son. Yes. Damon is not sitting around having days of our lives with Rhaenyra. Frankly, he should have already taken Harrenhal at the time of the death of Jacaerys, but they still could have worked that out. Because Damon goes, takes Harrenhal, and he's mustering all the troops and everything. Everyone's coming to him. And when he hears about Jacaerys, as the Black Council is trying to figure out what to do about Jacaerys' death, he sends them a raven. And he says, an eye for an eye, a son for a son. Okay. So that is how it happened in the book. The Black Council all saw it. It was something they discussed. Now, the question is, were they trying to get Aegon or were they trying to get Aegon's heir? So that's something that they missed out on. Malty Moldy says, really interested to see your take since Ryan Condell feels the opposite. Good to hear both sides. Oh, Ryan Kinnell. Oh, I thought you said Ryan Condell, the writer. Feels the opposite. Good to hear both sides. Huh. Well, I don't want to go up against Ryan. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. So, yeah, so listen up. So this is what should have happened. So Daemon takes Harrenhal. And Rhaenyra, yes, she is in complete grief. Now, I understand the problems that they could have with what to do with Rhaenyra while this is happening. I think the way they did it in the TV show was just fine. Have her wandering around, gotta find the body. All right, I've already read about how Daemon takes Harrenhal. Okay. So I'm not going to go into details about that, where they talk about Alice Rivers, etc. So after Daemon takes Harrenhal, right around the time of the death of Lucerys, says, quote, story time, by the way. The sudden bloodless fall of Black Heron's seat was counted a great victim for Queen Rhaenyra and her blacks. It served a sharp reminder of the martial prowess of Prince Daemon and the power of Caraxes the Bloodworm, and gave the queen a stronghold in the heart of Westeros, to which her supporters could rally. And Rhaenyra had many such in the lands watered by the Trident. When Prince Daemon sent forth his call to arms, they rose up along the rivers, knights and men-at-arms, and humble peasants, who yet remembered the realm's delight, so beloved of her father, and the way she smiled and charmed them as she made her progress through the riverlands in her youth. Hundreds and then thousands buckled on their sword belts and donned their mail, or grabbed a pitchfork or a hoe or a crude wooden shield, and began to make their way to Harrenhal to fight for Viserys's little girl. And this is what's going on in episode 1. Now, I do say that they could show some of this in episode 2. Seek says, the egos of modern-day writers ruins a lot of shows. They are arrogant enough to think that they can improve the bestsellers. Peak narcissism. Darn right. Yeah, why now is not cat not ruining my channel? Yeah, ruining my stream. Okay, so we have that. It wasn't a big secret. It wasn't whatever. Now, some people might argue, well, maybe the writers didn't want to write about the Days of Our Lives school and Darren taking Harrenhal, etc. Here's the problem with that. Because while this is happening, and as he's gathering his troops, he is gathering his troops and all of them to fight at the Battle of Burning Mill. That's a landmark. And we're going to get there. All right. Now, I want to say something here about where I said as is in my Twitter thread. Not necessarily as is, because Blood and Cheese, they messed up Blood and Cheese. We should still be talking about Blood and Cheese. And they punted it. Can you imagine if Benioff and Wise had messed up the Red Wedding and said, well, we didn't like the way it was done, so we're going to do this. And we're going to make people laugh. Okay, now obviously no one was laughing about the actual killing of the child. But the whole thing with Cole and Alicent, first of all, Alicent not even being there. I think everyone knows about how they messed up Blood and Cheese. But the worst thing about Blood and Cheese is that they had Maelor the Missing. George R.R. Martin had said, Maelor the Missing. I hashtagged it. He said it. He said, that's a problem. Because Maelor is the youngest son of Aegon. And she was given a choice. She was given a Sophie's choice. She wasn't given a point out the son. And she's like, oh, yeah, kill that one. Pointed it out. But that doesn't make any sense. All right. So we have them going, she chooses Maylor because he's not the heir or whatever, and she was desperate. It's a horrible, horrible scene. Allison is watching in horror. Blood and Cheese weren't a bunch of idiots either. Okay. And she chooses Maylor, and they go, nope. Ha ha ha. Just kidding. It's going to be your other son. And they kill the heir. But that leaves Maylor the heir. Maylor is the heir to the throne. The show decided to mess up the succession by making Aemond the heir. They messed up the succession in a show that's all about succession, really. Keep saying secession. Sorry. It's succession. So when I say as is, mea culpa, where they properly do Blood and Cheese. All right. So we have all that. Boom. Oops. Next one. Episode 2, as is. Episode 2 had some really great moments in it. I loved Aegon. I liked the way they did the Blood and Cheese, what ended up happening to the rat catchers. All of that was good. Otto and Aegon, the actors were amazing. Great dialogue. Nothing wrong with episode 2, except, well, besides the Days Were Alive school. But you see, this isn't going to happen because in the book, Daemon is mustering the troops and preparing to move. Thus setting up the Battle of Burning Mill. So this is what we should have been seeing in episode 2. Again, we're moving forward. And Daemon is a tour de force. He's a force of nature. He's doing this for Rhaenyra. This whole idea that he's doubting it and all that. Because remember, that's part of the reason he got married. She's like, uncle, I need your help. Okay, let's forget the fact that that's kind of creepy. And he's doing it. Yay, Daemon. The reason why they're trying to cuck Daemon to take away his achievements, I have a reason to suspicion. It's the same old thing that we always see. They're so afraid of having a strong male that it will overshadow the strong female. They also made some mistakes by giving some of Rhaenyra's stuff last season to Daemon, which was also weird too. It's like they don't want to see her doing bad things. It's like, no, she does bad things. But even if she doesn't do the bad things, at least let Daemon have this. So anyways, it's going on and on and on about, in the book, we're talking at page 414, story time. The lords of the Trident, having more to lose, were not so quick to move, but soon enough they too began to throw their lots in with the queen. From the twins rode Sir Forrest Frey, the very same fool Frey who had once begged for Rhaenyra's hand, now grown into a most, I forget what the name is, knight. Can't pronounce it. Lord Samwell Blackwood, who had once lost a duel for her favor, raised her banners over Raventree. Sir Amos Bracken, who had won that duel, followed his lord father when the House Bracken declared for Aegon. Okay, so House Bracken had declared for Aegon, House Blackwood for the Queen. The Moontoons of the Mabel Holt Pool, the Pipers of Pink Maiden Castle, the Roots of Harroway, the Dairies of Derry, the Mallisters of Seaguard, the Vances of Wayfarer's Rest, all announced their support for Queen Rhaenyra. Lord Peter Piper, really? That's his name? Yeah, it is his name. The grizzled Lord of the Pink Maiden spoke for many when he said, I swore her my sword. I'm older now, but not so old that I've forgotten the words I said, and it happens I still have my sword. Then it goes through all the Grover Tully things, which for some reason they waited till episode 7 because I guess they didn't want to have all of this happening. So they're all mustering. That's what should be happening in episode 2. What should have happened in episode 3? The Battle of Burning Mill, with Daemon leading the Freys, etc., and taking Stonehenge like a badass. And also include Black Aly. There was an amazing character that George R.R. Martin wrote nicknamed Black Aly, and she does something amazing at the Battle of Burning Mill. They had a strong woman with a bow and arrow doing strong women things, and what did they do? They left it out. But anyway, so what we should have seen, not that stupid little, oh, that's my rock, that's your rock, and then, oh, look, they're all dead. Now, It did make some pretty cool visuals, if you will. Well done. But what did they leave out? Oh my gosh, let's have a look. I know that I did do a video about it. Please go ahead and see it. But we're back to story times because remember the Brackens had declared for Aegon. When the Brackens gathered a strong force, Lord Samuel Blackroad surprised them on the march, taking them unawares. They camped beneath a riverside mill. In the fight that followed, the mill was put to the torch, and men fought and died for hours, bathed in the red light of the flames. Sir Amos Bracken, leading the host from Stonehenge, cut down and slew Lord Blackwood in single combat, only to perish himself when a rearward arrow found the eye slit of his helm and dove deep into his skull. Supposedly, that shaft was loosed by Lord Samuel's 16-year-old sister, Alysanne, who would later be known as Black Ally, and this could be family legend. They acknowledge. But you know what? They had the choice. They had a strong woman already. Boom. Show us Black Ally. It's an amazing story. Many other grievous losses were suffered by both sides, but when the Brackens finally broke and fled back into their own lands under the command of Sir Amos's bastard half-brother, So Rivers, it was only to find that Stonehenge had been taken in their absence. Led by Prince Damon on Caraxes, a strong host made up of Derrys, Rooks, Pipers, and Freys had captured the castle by storm in the absence of so much of House Bracken's strength. And they all became captives, etc. With House Bracken thus broken and defeated, the last of King Aegon's supporters in the Riverlands lost heart and laid down their own swords as well. This is what should have been in episode 2. Or 3, rather. All right? Great beats. Now, some people are arguing, oh my gosh, the budget. And I understand budget. Remember what they did in season 1 and 2, I believe, a good deal of Game of Thrones. You can show things without showing them. You can get a little bit creative, right? You can get a little bit creative with it with your budget. But you see, the way they're having it now, they still don't even have the phrase. How did they do the phrase? Oh, they had Jace run off and do it, which was ridiculous. Daemon already did it. Rah, Daemon. It's a great character, something for us to cheer for. Even though we know he's a terrible person, he is a magnificent warrior. And when he says he's going to do something, he does it. He's not going to sit around and whine like a little baby for 4 episodes. 4 episodes. He still hasn't done anything. And Rhaenyra's just going, oh, I just don't know. I know we're in the middle of a civil war, but, you know, my little days of our lives is more important. My goodness. I'm getting cranky. Let me make sure. Can you all hear me? Yeah, okay, because, you know, I don't want to have people go crazy here on me. I'm getting really mad the more I think about this. This is what we should have seen. Battle of Burning Bell. The Cargill twins as is. I'm okay with the Cargill twins thing. It was a little stupid what they did to Kristen Cole, but they've already ruined Kristen Cole. They made him a psycho in episode 1. So, yeah, screw it. They've ruined him. But the Cargill twins, I thought that was well done. I thought it was very moving. Some of the little twist at the end, you know, it makes sense. It was the best in both worlds of both versions of the stories. Hello, everyone that's coming in. Faulty Traveling Sea. God, this show is such a waste. It's just dumb. Yeah, this is what we could have been seeing, though. Can you imagine how awesome this would have been? Oh. Though, remember Ryan Condal said back in season 1, in 2022, he said, I just don't get why people like Daemon. Why are they liking Daemon? And so what do? They take away everything great about him in this season. So yeah, we don't like Daemon right now because you've ruined it. You're good. Let your anger flow. Oh, hell yeah. I'm mad. Oh, boy, am I mad. And people are saying, well, we needed to give Rhaenyra something to do. Well, she's not doing anything. Oh, wait. They had to do a ridiculous meeting up with Alicent at the end. They wasted that so that two women could sit there and have a conversation that really nothing came from it. First of all, and we've all talked about it, how ridiculous it was that she snuck in the way she did. Remember, they're not even supposed to be the same age. She's older than her. She's her stepmother by 10 years at least. They're not friends. They're not friends. So that's what they were wasting time on. Again, take away from the man to try to give to the woman, and all you do is diminish all. Episode 4, Rooks rest mostly as is without the Aemond issue. Yeah, I have no problem with Rooks rest. The way they did it, it was great visual, but the Aemond issue, and I should also argue the Aegon issue. As the way it was supposed to happen was Rhaenys was a badass. Remember, Rhaenys is not the psycho that they show in the show who went and massacred everybody at the coronation massacre. What do people call it? The coronation, the girl boss massacre of 129 AC. Hello, look at people saying hi. Hello, Biggles. Hello. So she did a kamikaze thing when Aemond and Aegon showed up. And she was like, screw it, I'm taking them both out. Kamikazed in. They all got tangled up, and she tore them all, Sunfire all apart, and they spun all around, and boom, they landed. Aegon and Vhagar survived. Rhaenys did not. She was burned the next week, and so were all the people around it. And Aegon was wounded as he is. But no, they had to have it that Rhaenys... My goodness. She was sitting there tearing him up. That was good. I'm like, this is fine. Then Aegon comes in and does friendly fire against the king, and that knocks him out. And then Aegon and Rhaenys face off. Rhaenys starts to go away, then says, nah, I'm going back. And then somehow, like Jaws, Vhagar comes up and gets her. It's just ridiculous. And it's ridiculous that he tried to kill him. With everyone looking and seeing, perhaps. I don't know. But that ruined it. And especially since Aemond is now the heir. By this point, they haven't even addressed the fact that he's the heir. It's... all right. Episode 5, the red sowing. You realize we still haven't gotten to the red sowing? And worse, they took away Adam's moment in the red sowing by having him get chased down by the dragon. I have that in my dragon seed sing because I actually thought that they were going to do it. But anyways, what's going on? First of all, there's an amazing confrontation between Corlys and Rhaenyra. He's like, you killed my wife, blah, blah, blah. They're yelling and all that because you were sitting around mourning and all that and wouldn't go and wouldn't let your kids go. She's dead. It's your fault. It was also Jacaerys, not Rhaenyra, who asked him to be her hand. They're taking away things from Corlys this season as well. And I've heard that they're going to take away even something else from Corlys. I mean, really? All right. So anyways, so what happens with the red sowing? Jacaerys, he comes up with the idea that, hey, you know what? We've got a lot of Targaryen bastards around. Let's do calling. Let's say, hey, you think you're a bastard? Come and see if you can claim these dragons. And so they do. And Corlys brings forth his two sons. Well, in the show, they're having his two sons. He may not be his two sons. They might be Laenor's sons. However, they are much younger. They're 15. So it is possible they are Laenor's sons, even though we all know Laenor didn't like the chicks. However, if you know anything about being in the closet, I mean, I don't, but if you know about people in the closet, like often they will go ahead and I'm not gay. Look, I'm having sex with these chicks. And it was very possible that they were Laenor's kids, which makes sense when they claim the dragon, when Adam claims the dragon. However, they're making it in the show that they're older, so they want them to be Corlys's. How they're going to resolve that in the show, I don't know. George Martin has already addressed this issue in the show, and he's like, well, you know, I'm going to talk about it in Winds of Winter, if it ever comes out. So in any case, the red sowing is badass, so they all show up. Loads of people get burned. I mean, You got fishermen, you got all sorts of people. You got people that weren't even necessarily of Valyrian blood, but they're like, dang it, I won it. What if I'll win? Yay. And they talk about, for example, Sir Stephen Darkland. He answered the audition. They call it the sowing of the seeds or the red sowing because so many people are going to die doing it. But Adam, like a badass, is successful, unlike the other ones, and he claims sea smoke. They took that away from us. They took another thing away from a man. They just had him being chased down where sea smoke claims him. Closets are dark, I shall pass. Oh, gosh, Biggles. So in any case, so yes. Oh, we might be getting into spoiler territory. Let me put this on here. Spoilers. So, and then his brother tries Alan, but he gets burned in the next week, but he lives. But it's like, okay, I guess I don't succeed. So he is not able to claim, but Hugh the Hammer and Ulf the White are able to claim two other dragons, Vermithor and Silverwing. So it's like, that is badass. That is awesome. So this is what we should have been seeing. Okay, in the red sowing. If they had budget issues, there's ways around it, all right, kids? You can still do the drama of these moments. And if it was budget issues, well, then why did you invent that dragon scene with sea smoke chasing Adam everywhere? In any case, yes, Corlys was the one that presented them, and then he and Jace go to Rhaenyra and say, we want to legitimize them. Or rather, Corlys went to Rhaenyra to ask them to be legitimized because only the queen can do so. And Jacaerys added his name to that. And so they become Adam and Alan Valyrian. And then Adam Valyrian is going to be the heir to the Driftmark. Pretty badass. And then here we go. The rage is going to happen because part of all of this was also Sheepstealer. Sheepstealer was the one who burned up Alan. A young lady named Nettles, who is the most cool character ever. And I have a theory. They don't want to have Nettles because Nettles will overshadow all of the other characters. Nettles, spoiler, is the only one who rides off into the sunset, is badass the whole time, never F's up, and becomes legend. Legend. There's also things with her and Daemon, and things with her and Daemon and Rhaena that are issues that I won't get into. But they don't want that? Is it because they think it'll make Rhaenyra look bad? I don't know. But they took out the coolest character. Imagine you're minding your own business and you're watching Game of Thrones, the TV show, when it was good. And they leave out Tywin Lannister. Or they leave out Jon Snow. I mean, or you're watching The Lord of the Rings and they leave out Samwise Gamgee. Okay? That's how ridiculous this is. And canonically, she is the only main character in House of the Dragon that George R.R. Martin written as being black. She was a street rat kind of thing. Think of Gavroche in Les Miserables. And all beat up. She probably had her bones broken, nose broken. It's got scars, and just decides that she is going to claim in a different way, since Sheepstealer is Sheepstealer. She gives him a dragon every day and wins him over. And so she becomes the fourth dragon seed to ride. We're still not sure if she is really a dragon seed or not. But she's still considered one of them and one of the quote unquote winners of the black sowing. Sorry, the red sowing. And it says here, she is the first and last rider of the dragon Sheepstealer. How awesome would that be? And since they were doing Ulf the White and Hugh the Hammer from episode 1 and Adam and Alan. They should have been showing us Nettles. Can you imagine how awesome that is? And a woman to root for, and maybe she is someone to be juxtaposed against Rhaenyra. Oh my gosh. But yeah, they have left her out. But worse, they are giving her to Rhaena. We saw that in the last episode. Sheep Stealer is somehow in the Vale. And they've already also said that Rhaena is going to be accompanying Aegon and Viserys to Pentos. So they're giving Aegon's role to Rhaenyra because they made Aegon like 3 years old. Aegon's supposed to be Aegon spoiler, third. He has his own dragon at this point. He is there protecting and defending Viserys, and there's a whole huge plot point about that. But it looks like they're giving it to Rhaena because Rhaena sticks around in the Vale with Jane Eyre. She has a great role to play later, but right now she's in the Vale. So they are going to try to merge Nettles with Rhaena, which is going to be absurd because it's going to totally mess up everything that happens with Daemon, and she won't have her happy ending because she already has a role to play. It's just ridiculous. Now, there are still a few people that claim, no, they're not going to do that. Nettles is going to show up somehow, and they're just keeping it a big secret. I don't know how, because in the last episode, they showed that there was a wild dragon and the dead sheep stealer in the Vale. George R.R. Martin has already come out and said dragons are not going to be in the Vale. You're not going to find them in the Vale. You're not going to find them in Dorne. He did a huge essay. Go ahead and see that What Was He Thinking live stream if you want to see more of that. Look who's here. It is, oh my goodness, I hope I say this right. Bio the Guilty Gaming. Yeah, the show is changing something. I'm not sure the reason besides not wanting to pay another actor. That is possible, but it's not really that much. And not just that, it's ruining it. Like I said, okay, or trying to watch Star Wars and leaving out Han Solo. Yeah. It's not that simple because actors actually are not that expensive, especially if you don't get an established actor, if you find a theater actor. Why did they kill Sunfire? Good question. I think Sunfire is not dead in the show. They all think he's dead, but I think it's going to be revealed that he is not. Because if Sunfire is dead, that ruins, as you all know, a big plot point. And it ruins Game of Thrones, because remember Game of Thrones, Joffrey spoils the ending of House of the Dragon. If they do that, that's insane. In the book, Sunfire doesn't die later on, does a few things. Wonder who they're going to give that to. I bet you I hope they don't. I hope they don't. I hope they surprise us and let us know that he's really still alive. Because if you're minding your own business and Sunfire's sitting there going bleh, on fire, I could see how someone like Kristen Cole be like, oh yeah, that dude's dead. It's going to take forever. Blood Guilty Gaming. It's the cap's throwing you off. Blood. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Yes. A punctuation. They said twice he was dead. Oh, you think they just did that? Okay, yeah, I think. However, they're getting rid of Nettles. They're giving it to a character that's not even suited to Nettles. How can they? Now, I'm going to say this to you. Blood Guilty Gaming, maybe you're right. Maybe they're going to change it. Maybe they don't care what Joffrey said in Game of Thrones. They don't care about their own continuity. They kind of forgot. They kind of forgot everything. You remember the whole notorious Ryan Condal's they kind of forgot moment in the behind the scenes, and he's like, Meleys is a beloved dragon. It's like, no, she's not. Not anymore. Not to the common folk. They kind of forgot that Kristen Cole killed Joffrey, the lover of Leonor, in cold blood in front of everybody. You just can't do that. He would have been executed immediately. In the book, Gosh darn it. Sorry about that. My sound went out because my cat hates me. Um in the book, I was ranting and raving about in the books with that Kristen Cole would have been beheaded immediately, like dead, like not even a question after he killed Joffrey, Leonor's lover. Um, but they kind of forgot. In the book, he was losing his crap during a tourney. That's how he kills Leonor. And it was like an oops. Now we're almost sure he did it on purpose, but he didn't do it in cold blood in front of everybody. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you never know. They did say twice he was dead, but maybe that's what they think because Cole did say he left him where he lay dying. Correct. Yes. Well, the show writers aren't very good. No, they suck. They're terrible. And I'm having a really big issue with people not connecting one on one. Okay. I think that they have their reasons. I have opinions, but I can't say otherwise because I can't read somebody's mind. But yeah, so the end of episode 5 should have been the red sowing and seeing those 4 dragon riders like riding around their dragons going, yo, we got dragons. This is awesome. And they're getting ready to go to battle. Yeah, the show is not as good on Game of Thrones. No. Episodes 1 through 4. I never would have thought that I would have started to say, my gosh, why couldn't they have done what they did on Game of Thrones? Janie Mac. So that's how episode 5 should have ended. Now let's go on to episode 6. Red Fork. That's what we should have seen this week. My gosh. Yeah. Now what's the Battle of the Red Fork? The Battle of the Red Fork is kind of happening around the same time as the Battle of the Gullet. We saw the Lannister marching out to the Red Fork. Yeah, Jason Lannister, this is from the book. Jason Lannister, Lord of Casterly Rock, poured down out of the western hills, descending with all his power upon Red Fork and the heart of the Riverlands. The Lords of the Trident had no choice but to turn and meet him. We had ourselves a land battle at this point. Bill Balcony Gaming says, like, some episodes are good, but then it's like a director changes every episode or something. Yeah, I'm joking that they need to send each other, like, sticky notes. Like, this is what happened in the last episode. So please write accordingly. Yeah. So story time. Said, Aemon, let him descend from the high ground and cross the Red Fork with fire and sword, while Sir Kristen Cole march forth from King's Landing. Yeah. See, this is part of the strategy here. I'm just going to go into storytelling mode. Story time. And spoilers. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and by this point, Jace's death had hardened Rhaenyra, leaving only her anger and her hatred. Oh, oops. Spoiler. Yeah, Jace is dying. So actually, the Battle of the Gullet should have happened before Red Fork. But if they wanted to end with the Battle of the Gullet, we could deal with that. This is what should be happening. Contemptuous of his half-sister Rhaenyra, Aemon One-Eye saw a greater threat in his uncle Prince Daemon and the great host he had gathered at Harrenhal. Summoning his bannermen in council, the prince announced his intent to bring the battle to his uncle and chastise the rebellious Riverlords. He proposed to strike the Riverlands from both the east and the west, and thus force the Lords of the Trident to fight on 2 fronts at once. See, he knows what he's doing. Jason Lannister had assembled a formidable host in the Western Hills, 1,000 armored knights and 7 times as many archers and men-at-arms. Let him descend from the high ground and cross the Red Fork with fire and sword, which whilst Sir Criston Cole marched forth from King's Landing, accompanied by Prince Aemon himself on Vhagar. They're leaving King's Landing open, but they feel like that they're going to strike hard. Strike first, strike hard, and no mercy. The two armies would converge on Harrenhal to crush the traitors of the Trident between them. And if his uncle emerged from behind the castle walls to oppose them, as he surely must, Vhagar would overcome Thraskes, and Prince Aemon would return to the city with Prince Daemon's head. Dun, 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 dun. Not all members of the Green Council favored the prince's bold stroke. Aemon had the support of Sir Criston Cole, the Hand, and that of Sir Tywin Lannister. But Grand Maester Orell urged him to send word to Storm's End and add the power of House Baratheon to his own before proceeding. And Ironrod, Lord Jasper Wilde, declared that he should summon Lord Hightower and Prince Daeron from the south on the grounds that 2 dragons are better than 1. Remember, they keep talking about Daeron? Oh, yeah, Daeron. Oh, yeah, my son Daeron. Daeron, the one we didn't even hear about season 1, but I can forgive them for this. Daeron the Daring. I agree they need better communication, says Bio Gelty Graming. Correct. Also, the book is kind of hard to follow what the truth is the way George writes it. To be fair, I still think they need better communication with writers and directors. Yes. Well, I was saying it a little bit earlier. They're very clear, though. They're saying this happened. Here's what this writer says, what this writer says, what this historian says. So the beats are there. The events are there. The participants are there. The interpretation of it and some of the details are a little bit off. But even if they didn't want to go with all of that, there's no excuse for not having coherence within their own story, which is what I believe you're saying, that I'm renting off of you. Bigglesmet says, wait, there's a canon name, Orell and Ironrod. That sounds inappropriate. Yes, totally agree. Oh, dear. Yes. So, and Daeron the Daring. Well, Daeron also already does some other things. There is a problem that they are moving the Battle of the Gullet. But I think of all of them, that's a change that they can move around without it really hurting the story. Gosh, if they even do the Red Fork. I mean, they're preparing for Red Fork, but are they doing it? Goodness knows. I mean, they've had Daemon tripping out for 4 episodes. I wouldn't mind them going, oh, look, we saw them. Look, there's a lion. Jason Lannister has a lion. That's cool. Oh, they're moving. Next episode, episode 7. Hey, look, there's that Lannister guy again. Episode 8. Maybe 30 seconds of the Lannister, and then we don't see him till episode 1. I would not be surprised if they do that. But, I mean, this is something that I just want to point out. The Queen Dowager. Who's that? Alicent. Favored caution as well, urging her son to wait until his brother the king and his dragon Sunfire the Golden were healed, so they might join the attack. She's still there. She hasn't been dismissed. All that stuff with Alicent. Why are they wanting to make a big deal about kicking Alicent off the Green Council? I have theories about that. As always, if I'm wrong, let me know. Quote, Prince Aemon had no taste for such delays, however. He had no need of his brothers or their dragons, he declared. Aegon was too badly hurt, Daeron too young. Thraxes was a fearsome beast, savage and cunning and battle-tested, but Vhagar was older, fiercer, and twice as large. And remember, his nickname is Kinslayer at this point. Because guess what? He slayed his kin. They didn't even do that. Yeah, they left that out about how he became Kinslayer and how Alicent and Otto were like, what have you done when they killed Lucerys? But the Kinslayer was determined this should be his victory. He didn't want to share the victory. Oh, and it says here, not only with his brothers, but with any other man. Oh, dear. So off he goes on a 16 days march to Harrenhal. This is where I was saying Jason Lannister, Lord of Casterly Rock, poured down out of the western hills, descending with all its power upon the Red Fork in the heart of the Riverlands. The lords of the Trident had no choice but to turn and meet him. I'm starting to think the Lannisters are the only people that are going to stay awesome in this entire thing. So Daemon Targaryen was too old and seasoned a battler to sit idly by and let himself be pinned up inside walls, even as massive as Harrenhal's. The prince still had friends in King's Landing, and word of his nephew's plan had reached him even before Aemond had set out. See, he has his connections. He's not just sitting there being, oh, what do I do? Oh, you witch lady who might be an owl, what do I do? When told that Aemon and Sir Criston Cole had left King's Landing, it is said Prince Daemon laughed and said, past time. Because, yeah, he wants it. He wants this showdown. I swear, if they mess up that showdown between Aemond and Aegon, I'm sorry, Aemond and Daemon, I am going to lose it. But you know what? At this point, we're not going to get it till like 2029. Does it even matter at this point? Because I think the show's going to fall apart before them. A murderer of ravens took flight from the twisted towers of Harrenhal. So we have a big old battle that goes on. Oh no, and loads of other lords and stuff. I don't know. The more I'm thinking they're not going to do Red Fork. I don't know how they can. They haven't been setting it up properly. My goodness. So this is what should be happening, and it goes on for quite a while. Next episode. What should be going on in the next episode? After we have Red Fork, at this point, remember that it is not defended. King's Landing is not defended. Episode 7 should be setting up the Battle of the Gullet. Or maybe I should put these backwards. Episode 6 should have been Battle of the Gullet, and episode 8, maybe the Red Fork. But we already know they already planned to put the Battle of the Gullet, so I thought maybe... what a mess. Out of order. But okay, you could set up the Battle of the Gullet if they want to make episode 8 a bit of a climax. Because what happens at the Battle of the Gullet and what has already happened at this point, we know that Aegon and Viserys were going off to Pentos. And they get, quote unquote, Viserys gets killed, quote unquote. And Aegon leaves his brother behind, escapes on the dragon, and that's something that haunts him for a good deal of his life. They're going to give that to Rhaena, though, so that's going to be a mess. Also, at the Battle of the Gullet, spoiler alert, but I have spoilers here. Jace dies. That would be a great way to end the season. What a horrible thing. Let's see. Bio Guilty Gaming says, also, I didn't like how they added the sex stuff with the White Worm and the Black Queen. That was kind of out of left field. Yes. Oh, yeah, that's going to mess things up, too, because we know that Daemon is going to be resuming his affair with the White Worm. Now I'm thinking, are they going to just switch that out and have Rhaenyra be the cheater? One Eye... Yeah, okay. I need to go back. The queen that never was should have went with Daemon to kill the One Eye and Vhagar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they already passed up the windmill battle. I wanted to see that. They set it up, then skip past. Correct. Also, where's Bloody Ben? Are they skipping him? Yeah, I mean, that's almost become a meme. Where's Bloody Ben? Imagine how heartbroken we would be with Jace. Now putting the Battle of the Gullet at the beginning of the next season, I think that's going to mess things up. I'm suspecting they're going to make the next season short. They're going to start off with the Battle of the Gullet, and then the end of season 3 is going to be, boom, Rhaenyra and Daemon taking King's Landing like badasses. Episode 8, Epic Battle of the Gullet, Jace dying, no, But now that King's Landing is open because of the Red Fork, etc., Rhaenyra and Daemon take King's Landing like badasses, and the last scene of the season is Rhaenyra gets cut by the throne. Yeah, and that's how we know that, quote unquote, the throne's rejecting her, that she's gonna suck. I mean, she didn't even last 6 months. And I say here at the end, because this was a Twitter thread, it's not hard. Budget issues, work it out like Game of Thrones did in early seasons. Yeah, you can do that. So we end with the taking of King's Landing. I mean, oh gosh, the takings of King's Landing is so cool. Rhaenyra Targaryen donned a suit of gleaming black scale, mounted Syrax, and took flight as a rainstorm lashed the waters of Blackwater Bay. High above the city, the queen and her prince consort came together, circling over Aegon's high hill. Ooh. Good stuff. And yeah, Queen Alicent surrenders the keys. She attempts to say to Rhaenyra, let's solve this by just having a council like we did before. And Rhaenyra's like, hell no. So she gives the keys to the city to Rhaenyra. The city is yours, princess, but you will not hold it long. The rats play when the cat is gone, but my son Aemond will return with fire and blood. Aegon and his children, including Maelor, his heir, escape. So that's kind of a bad thing that Rhaenyra was not able to go ahead and take them and take them prisoner, perhaps even execute them. But she decides before the night is done that she sits on the Iron Throne, and every man and woman in the Red Keep was brought forth and made to kneel before him to plead for her forgiveness and swear their lives and swords and honor to her as their queen. It went on all through the night, and then as Prince Daemon escorts her from the hall, cuts were seen upon her grace's legs and the palm of her hand. The Iron Throne had spurned her, and her days upon it would be few. I'm calling it now. With the way they're shortening the seasons, that's how season 3 is going to end. It should have been this season, because we should have been going boom, boom, boom. Instead, what are they doing? They're adding things. They're making us laugh at them. They're leaving Daemon having a haunted house story. They got rid of Nettles. They messed up. Look at what they messed up. They messed up Blood and Cheese. They messed up the Red Sowing. They messed up Corlys. And one could argue they're messing up Rhaena, because by giving her story to Nettles, they're messing up her story, which is actually... Sorry about that. I see that there are some comments. Yes. Threesome relationship. Oh, yeah. What? Oh, I see what you're saying. You're spelling it right. Are they going to do a threesome? I would not be surprised. Not at all. That's the way they're going. Gosh, yeah. Polyamorism makes sense. I think that they're going to do that. Yeah, you're right. Also, we have, let me see. So did her dad think she's the prince that was promised in the Song of Ice and Fire? So her dad thinks she's a prince that was promised. Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's what's so confusing, because this whole Song of Ice and Fire and passing it down isn't in the book. I believe it was Rhaegar who was the one who got the dream. So I'm not sure where they're going with that. Bio Guilty Gaming says, or did he just make her successor despite his brother? Well, no. If you're talking the TV show, well, that was all dealt with in the first season. He didn't believe that Darren would be the good king that would be able to do that, but that's not the motivator. Yeah, I'm confused. Yeah, don't worry, I'm confused as well. It doesn't make sense. You see, that's the problem. It's just not consistent. Um, so to make a long story short, this is what I'm saying should have happened. Like, where all that stuff with Damon fooling around in the haunted house with Alice, what's gonna come of that? Is anything coming of that? Damon emoting and all that, what's coming of that? Or could that could have been taken care of in episode 1, right? Give him some emoting moments. But this is what he should have been doing the whole season in partnership with Rhaenyra, right? Not screwing it up. But yeah, I keep trying to make sense of this, but even with but once you move the Battle of the Gullet, yeah, Battle of the Gullet has to come before Red Fork, but they're not doing that. I was before even about 30 minutes ago, I was thinking it might work. Now it's not. It's not going to work. But that's what they're going to do. And without Nettles, goodness knows how they're going to end the story. So that's that. Thank you for everyone that's been popping in and out. I do appreciate you being here and giving me the support as I'm renting and raving because I'm mad with Damon's situation. I think he's going to change his personality to something. Yeah, they're going to have to change his personality. He's not Damon. They didn't like the fact that people liked Damon. So they changed him. Remember when George R. R. Martin wrote in his latest Not a Blog how he was going to be in London and he said, "There's going to be a House of the Dragon writers meeting. I'm not going." He's telling us without telling us, isn't he? Biggle says, "I am here even though I don't like this stuff." Yeah. Well, I can tell you how disappointed I am. So if people are wondering what the hell is going on, it's because they're trying to change the story. And you change the story. You can say whatever you like about George R. R. Martin. I don't mind if people don't like him in his writings. You know, I hate the fact that I keep having to defend him because people keep making up stuff about him. But here's the thing. It's his story. He knew what he was doing. His world is consistent. And if you think you're going to change that, you're going to mess up. We're seeing the same thing with Rings of Power. Oh, yeah, we can out Tolkien. I'm not comparing George R. R. Martin to Tolkien because there is no comparison. Tolkien is the king. And in George R. R. Martin's own words, when he calls Tolkien the master, he's the master. But no comparison. But my goodness gracious. Look what they're doing to Tolkien. They're trying to out Tolkien. They're trying to out Robert Jordan. So why wouldn't they do this? And that's why we're seeing a mess. An absolute mess. Faculty Gaming says, "Yeah, that's dumb. People like him because the actor that plays him is pretty good." Yes. Well, and I saw some things on Reddit that made a lot of sense. Yes, we like him because of that. But when people say they like Damon, they're not saying they like Damon. Does that make sense? They know he's a horrible person. He's an anti-hero. But let's look at Darth Vader. Darth Vader is the greatest villain one could argue in cinematic history. Why do people like Darth Vader? Why does everyone want to talk about Darth Vader? Well, because guess what? But did anyone think that Darth Vader was a good person? Okay, his redemption notwithstanding. No. When people said they liked Damon, they liked the character. And what they needed to do is make Rhaenyra as compelling. And all they've done is just dragged everyone down with them. It's the Last Jedi mistake. Oh, we're gonna tear down Luke Skywalker, and then everyone sucks. Also, dragons only have 2 legs, just saying. Yes. Oh, yeah, that was what George R. R. Martin said. Yeah, that's his world. Those are his dragons. Fans love anti-heroes. Absolutely, anti-heroes are great. Now, you know who's also an anti-hero? Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra is a great anti-hero, but they tried to make her nice. Tried to make her moral. You can't. Oh, I'm not even going there. Shut up, Biggles. Oh, that was mean, but shut up, Biggles. You can't just call me Blood. Okay, let me go ahead and call you that because I keep messing up, don't I? Vader was just misunderstood. Dragons with 2 legs are not dragons. They are. How dare George R. R. Martin? You know what? I'm not going there, but let me tell you this. I read through the essay. I don't remember off the top of my head because I had anesthesia. See, I'm blaming it all on anesthesia. If it is your world and you want to have dragons with whatever legs you want to have, you can do that. If you want to have 8-legged dragons, if in your world that's what it is, that's what it is, as long as you're consistent. I think what George was saying, these are his dragons and they're not doing what he said. Any creature that flies only has 2 legs. Uh-oh. Even in our world. I suck. Okay. I just want to throw this out here. I am not a biologist and I forget the word for someone that studies birds. Yeah. But you got to be consistent. And that's the other thing. If you want to start messing around with House of the Dragon, you don't want to do the story. You think you can out George R. R. Martin, fine. Well, then show me. Make a coherent story. Don't make it, there's a word I'm thinking of, but it's so offensive I won't say it, but you know that's what I'm thinking. That's what you are writing. All right. When I used to play Barbies, I had Barbie plots in my Barbie dream house when I was 8 years old that was more consistent than House of the Dragon. Because you got to stay consistent. What they do is they change things, they throw it out, and then they kind of forget it happened. Uh-oh, people love Biggles. I don't know why. No, we love Biggles here at Miss Smart Muses. So that's how season 2 should have gone. Except I have now completely changed my mind and said, nope, should have been Battle of the Gullet, Red Fork next season. Oh dear. What's another analogy for not having nettles? Because I'm mad. I'm mad. So let's put it to you this way. Okay. I already talked about the Fellowship of the Ring without Samwise Gamgee. It's like having Pride and Prejudice without Mr. Darcy. It's like having Jane Eyre without Mr. Rochester. It's like having Days of Our Lives without the hourglass, for crying out loud. That's what it's like to leave out Nettles. They are imperious to magic. Okay. Dragons are mythical creatures. They can break the rules. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You just got to stay consistent within your own world. That's all. Now, you can say, well, so and so's world building was better than so and so's world building. Well, kind of, as long as they're consistent. Yeah. Though I'm very cautious about comparing writers because they're obviously doing very different things. For example, let's look at Robert E. Howard. Oh, he was better than George R. R. Martin. Well, actually, kind of, he probably is. But how can you compare what Robert E. Howard was doing with his Pulp Fiction and Sword and Sorcery to George R. R. Martin? How can you compare Robert E. Howard to Tolkien? How can you compare Tolkien to George R. R. Martin? which is something he actually keeps saying, but people keep trying to say he said what he didn't say. How can you compare Jane Austen to Charlotte Bronte? You can't. They're in their own worlds, they do their own things. Who's a better romantic hero? Mr. Darcy or Mr. Rochester? Well, actually, I think Mr. Darcy. But okay, let's do another example. Who's a better romantic hero, Mr. Darcy or Colonel Brandon in Sense and Sensibility? Both are amazing, but they're different. They're different. You can't compare. Star Wars versus Star Trek. Apples and oranges. But this is what should have been happening. So what did they give us instead? Let's go through what they gave us instead. They gave us episode 1. They messed up Blood and Cheese. They didn't have Damon taking Harrenhal, and they didn't have him mustering the armies. Episode 2. What didn't they have? They didn't have Damon getting ready for the Battle of Burning Mill, which was a huge, huge thing. Actually, instead, what did they give us? They gave us Days of Our Lives School. Oh, they're having a fight. Now they're not talking to each other. Listen, it's great on Days of Our Lives. But you don't mix Days of Our Lives with House of the Dragon. Tolkien original drawings to Smaug had 2 limbs. He later changed it. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, and at the end of the day, what Tolkien wrote in The Hobbit is kind of the story. Now, if he wanted to change it, that was up to him. We all know he played around with switching around with things just because that's what people do. And let's throw out George Lucas. All right. If George Lucas decided he wanted to do that weird stuff in the sequel trilogy, well, gee whiz, I guess you got to kind of hand it to him. It's George Lucas. It belongs to him. We might think it kind of sucks, but guess what? He's allowed to do it. But when other people do it, that's unforgivable. Another example with Tolkien. If he wanted to change up things, he has a right to do so. But you see, these writers of Rings of Power, they keep saying, well, this is the way we wanted to do it, and Tolkien changed some things, so we're changing it. It's like, no, you don't have that right. Tolkien can change it. You can't. Even though I would argue about Tolkien changing things. That's another story for another day. Oh, I'm adapting Fire and Blood. I know better than the writer. If George wanted to make all these changes, okay, I can handle it. That's why people are still pretending George is on board with this. Even Ryan Condal said George is not working with us anymore. All right? I might think, George, this sucks. Why are you having Rhaenyra tiptoeing through King's Landing and fast traveling and having girl talk and girl fights in Days of Our Lives School? But if George had done it, okay, you know what, George? That's your right. But other people doing it? No, I'm sorry. Oh, it's your right, but you're going to suck. And this sucks. You hear me? I started to curse. It is SUCKS. Is that a really bad word? Not really, but it sucks. What are some good changes? Here's a good example. You know what they changed in House of the Dragon season 1? They changed, or rather added, to Viserys. Didn't they, Precious? Yes, they did. And it was amazing. So, it's not the fact that I mind if things are not exactly the way or are in the book, but they've got to be consistent, and they got to be consistent within the show. What's another thing that they added? Well, they added a few things with Rhaenyra and a few scenes and some melodrama here and there, which I thought was great. I don't completely despise Alicent being with Cole. But they've done it so ridiculously. I mean, we're all laughing at it when it should be something serious. Muted? Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay, it's a long story. I need to work this out next time. Maybe I'll edit out some of these things. I'm gonna have to ban my cat. I'm just gonna have to ban him. All right. Yeah, this is a show that's changing the stuff. It's not George. Correct. And that's why it doesn't make sense. Oh, you know what's a good example of some things that get changed that work and why it worked mostly? Remember when they were doing Harry Potter, the movies? There were a few things that they changed, but they collaborated with Rowling. So it worked for the most part. Also, they were gonna do some things, and she had to step in and go, "Actually, no, this scene is needed." And they're like, "Oh, okay, Rowling." They didn't say, "Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, you old hag." But for real, read the Not a Blog. George says it without saying it, and he has to because he probably has a non-disparagement contract. And even if he doesn't have a non-disparagement contract, you still need to have some professionalism. But he says it without saying it. So this is the way it should have gone. I'm being very careful because why are other people liking it? Well, that can be subjective. If people are enjoying this, well, okay. I can't tell someone you're not enjoying what you are enjoying. However, it could be so much better. It could be blowing our socks off every season, every episode. And when things start to fall apart, the signs are already there. It's falling apart because I will eat my hat. I will eat my hat metaphorically if it turns out that they have the courage to bring this to its logical conclusion. If they do that, I will say I was wrong. I will say I was wrong. But leaving out Nettles, I don't know what they're going to do. Now, if it turns out that all the people that keep saying, no, no, she has been cast. No, no, she has been cast. You're wrong. Well, if I'm wrong about that, I guess I'm wrong about that too. So why did they waste all that time showing that stuff with Raina? No. So you all have permission to say I told you so if I'm wrong. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave off this party. I've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes, and I want to rest my voice. But all that being said, I am so happy for all of you that kept me company and let me get all of this off my chest and work through it. Because, yeah, there's stuff to work through here. So, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Adiga Outlaw, Malty Maldi. Let me see. Steve Kenobi popped in. Salty Traveling Sea. Biggles. And we had, you helped me out, Blood Guilty Gaming. Anyone else? And anyone that is listening on the replay, please give a like, share, and subscribe. And as always, tell me what I got right. Tell me what I got wrong. Or if I left something out. I'm only a human. And I make mistakes. I make mistakes. So, thank you for saying goodbye. Thank you, Biggles. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain to let the rage flow. You'll feel better.